This tutorial covers the basics of copying and pasting a countermark into another application. In this case, it'll be a Word document. You might want to use a countermark in a Word document to hide sensitive information. This can allow you to anonymize data and documents containing that data, while those with the appropriate permissions still have access to that data via the countermark. For the purposes of this tutorial, there are two windows open on the screen. On the left-hand side, there's the Countermark for Documents window, and on the right-hand side, a Word document representing a resume or CV. In this scenario, we're looking to hide or redact the personal information on the CV. The steps required here will be to create the countermark and then to copy and paste the countermark into the Word document in order to cover or redact the sensitive information. And finally, to secure the Word document in such a way that only those with the appropriate permission have access to the sensitive or redacted information. In this case, the name and address. We'll start by creating the countermark. Back on the countermark screen, we'll choose the redaction countermark from the menu. The redaction countermark option defaults to the settings required for a more secure countermark. We'll begin the process by creating an image of the data that we wish to secure, which in this case is the name and address information. We'll go across to the Word document and we'll use the Microsoft Windows snipping tool to create the image. Click New, highlight the area that's to be covered by the countermark, copy the image that's been created. Now we'll come across into the countermark screen, and here we'll use Ctrl+V to paste in the image which will be associated with the countermark. This image has now been secured on the countermark servers and has been encrypted. Now to continue the process, we'll add a reference, then we'll consider the options down the center of the countermark form. Because this countermark contains sensitive information, we don't want just anyone being able to read it using the Countermark smartphone app. This information should only be available to a specific individual or group of individuals. For this reason, the option at the top of the screen has been set to private. Because it is set to private, we'll have to define the group of people who have access to the information that has been secured using this countermark. So we'll select Group. The two separate groups of countermark users have previously been defined. The next choice is, should this countermark be geo-locked, that is, only read by people in a specific location, or is it accessible globally? In this case, we will leave it as global. All countermarks are time limited. In this case, we will set this countermark to be accessible for 3 months. The next option down has been set to anonymous. This protects the identity of the person who created the countermark. The final option to be aware of is at the bottom of the page here, where the default is match image aspect ratio. That is, the countermark that is created will have the same aspect ratio, that is the same relationship between height and width, as the original image that has been copied and pasted into countermark. Now we can go across and create the countermark itself. Generate countermark. The countermark has been created, and this can now be copied and pasted into the Word document. I'll choose Copy, come across to Word. For technical reasons, it's not possible to use Ctrl+V to paste the countermark directly into Word. You need to use the Paste Special. So Paste at the top of the screen and choose Paste Special. From the list of options available, choose Bitmap. And then finally, press OK. The countermark has now been pasted into the Word document, where it covers the sensitive information, the name and address details on the resume. However, this sensitive information has not yet been fully secured because anyone who has access to edit this Word document could remove the image. Dragging the image off the text exposes the sensitive data. We'll undo that action so the countermark covers the sensitive data once more. The final step to protecting the sensitive information that's covered by the countermark would be to make the document read-only, such as saving it as a PDF or securing it from further editing by requiring a password. By redacting sensitive information by using a countermark, a document can be anonymized. While anyone can scan this countermark using the Countermark smartphone app, only those people with the appropriate permission have access to the image file which contains the sensitive data. This is the end of the tutorial covering copying and pasting a countermark into another application, in this case a Word document.